Taylor Swift, baka pwede naman sa Clark. Now, if we have the proper venue to accommodate this. And this is, we think, a good candidate for PPP project as well. So this can also be a potential source of revenue.
What's the capacity of your expected capacity of the convention?
So right now, sir, we're expecting at least 20,000. The initial computation that we have, but I think that is still small compared to the Singapore Stadium na, yeah, 50,000. So
I think there's a need, baka dapat pag-aralan nyo rin, kasi there's really a need for a bigger than a very big venue for
Yes.
what do you call it, mice
Yes, sir.
conventions.
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
anong tawag doon?
MIC
meetings,
meetings,
I think the biggest now is only how big yung World Trade and then World
Maliit lang
Trade,
po yan,
very small
15,000,
comparative.
yes,
So
sir.
we cannot attract international
Yes, sir,
events
correct.
with that. So maybe if you build one, it should be something that's internationally competitive kasi wala pang ganyan sa bansa.
Yes.
If you're gonna build one, gawin nyo ng pang international na. Diba?
Agree, Mr. Chairman. At least,
Anyway, sorry, I'm interrupting. But anyway, I remember
Yes.
that. I just wanted to get that point across.
at least we share the same idea of the need, no? Especially,
The medium will be PPP or GAA?
some can be made under PPP kasi not all of the facilities under this complex will be proper, maybe earning the sufficient return needed by the private sector. So we initially were thinking of PPP by bundling it with other lands for them to develop commercially viable facilities.
Is it a concept? At this point, are you at the conceptual design?
At the
or-
conceptual?
So wala pang detailed engineering?
Wala pa.
Okay, so conceptual lang.
Yes, sir.
Not even FS?
Wala pa.
Okay, okay. So,
No, but this is
pwede
the-
pang baguhin.
Yes, of course. But the main driver also of this project is that it will be located near the airport, so we can have immediate access, not just for international passengers, but also for those coming from the south, like Davao, Cebu. They can immediately access the airport and go through these facilities. So they need that pass through Manila to access these kind of facilities. So yes. And then next is since we are developing a smart city in New Clark City, and we have built this infrastructure together with the ICT, now it's high time to monetize the project that the government have invested in the initial National Backbone Program. So we will be coming up with the terms of reference, invite private sector partners to develop the last mile connectivity in Clark. So we want the internet speed in our asset, to be at world-class speed like Singapore, Korea, and at the cost just a fraction of what we have right now to make this asset of ours very competitive. Kasi meron po tayong 500,000 Mbps na capacity na galing doon sa joint venture project namin with Facebook. So it's now time to monetize and put to application this investment that the CDA and DICT have done recently. Next, we want to move them out on the ongoing replication projects that we have for the military. So the first one is the Philippine Navy facilities. The total replication cost is around 15 billion. But the phase one, we will be needing this amount, 1.3 for senior officers, 3.6 for Marine Merit officers, and Naval Hospitals 1.6. The reason why we are prioritizing these three facilities is that they will be affected by the Mega Manila Subway project of DOTR. So in order for DOTR to implement the project, the subway inside Fort Bonifacio, we need to replicate these three facilities first. And we have already agreed with the military in identifying the replication site. Next is the Philippine Marines naman ho. While the total project cost is 28 billion, we have provided them, we have donated 100 hectares of our property in Bataan to be the permanent site of the Philippine Marines. And we already got around 7.5 billion to implement the phase one. And our partner, the Marines, are very satisfied with the works that we are doing right now because we're doing a joint implementation with them as can be seen in the next slide. The next slide shows these are the ongoing projects that we are doing with them, and we are about to turn over already initially sa initial facilities for them for the grandstand kasi they want to celebrate their 74 75th anniversary no ng Marines in Bataan. So we will be transferring the grandstand, a one office building and one igloo for their ammunition. So we will be completing this entire project for until 2024, but the funds are not yet fully there, no, transferred to us. That's why we will be requesting for additional funds. Next is the Philippine Air Force, as I mentioned earlier, that will be relocated from Clark Freeport Zone to New Clark City. Ito po, ang facility na to naman, tapos na po yung detailed design. Ang ganda po ng design nito, ang mga, kaya tuwan-tuwa ang Air Force because their facilities are baka maingit po yung ibang units, but these were properly planned na parang private development po. We will start with the site development of 791 million, but we will be needing a complete amount of 3.5 billion pesos. Next are the road projects that BCDA has completed and will continue to implement to further enhance the value of New Clark City. Shown on the next slide are the completed ones. So, in fact, yung pong Sacobia Bridge along Airport NCC, siguro marami sa'yo dito nakakita na nun. Instagrammable na po siya sa social media. The good news is we will be opening it soon. No, the entire 20-kilometer road section will be open. And invite ko rin kayo, magkakaroon kami ng half marathon event on on December 17 to be organized by a famous runner natin, no, si Run Rio. Ano. So but other than what I've said, we are proud with the way it was implemented. It's already smart and green. So makikita po niyo all the facilities are underground, especially the power distribution. May sariling bicycle lanes, no? May sariling sidewalk na hiwalay. Kaya world-class design po itong mga roads natin. And this will serve the future government agencies that will be relocating in New Clark City, especially Central Bank, the Philippines, their minting facility, the University of the Philippines, the Philippine Science High School, yung National Academy for Sports, na training ground natin for our future Olympians. They started their classes this October, so andun na po sila. And they're enjoying already these infrastructure developments. Next, to further make sure that the operations of Clark International Airport is world class, continue to modernize their facilities. So, tapos na po dito yung airfield lighting system, yung pong radar nila at 54% na. And then yung new control tower nila, ganun din po, no? And we will be also procuring equipment na for their new control tower. So with this, in some of the projects that I just mentioned, Mr. Chairman, and to support the programs that we will be implementing next year, next slide shown our request po sana, our parang lambing pa po namin kung po pwede, that in order to make full blast implementation of these projects, we will be needing po sana a total of 11 billion. But for next year, just to jumpstart this project, if we can have at least 2.5 billion for the housing facilities in Clark, utilities, Philippine Marines, and for Philippine Navy projects. And next slide is shown are the additional, if granted, the additional 2.5 billion peso request, and when added to the approved one, will amount to 4.6 billion. Pero historically po, pababa na rin naman po yung mga nakukuha naming GA support. But as we continue to implement these important projects, we see that we need to have this amount moving forward, 2024 and moving forward. So next. So with that, Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for the very efficient presentation. And at this point, we just have some questions. I'd like to. I'd like also. I understand that the BCDA has its own generates its own revenue. May I ask about details about what kind of revenue generation you've achieved, you've been achieving, or you are going, or you are projecting?
So, basic, So we are negotiating right now with DOTR under Secretary Bautista whether our offer is to, of course, to renew it, no, for the next 25 years. But they are willing to buy it now already and be included in the terms of reference in the privatization of the NAIA. So
If they're trying to privatize NAIA, doesn't that, if you have not negotiated that yet, yung
Yeah.
renewal of the lease, how can they negotiate? How can they have a solicited proposal now if the lease for the
We already had an initial discussion na po with the OTR as to the amount that the lot can generate, and I think that is included in the terms of reference that the OTR has integrated in the terms of in their own terms of reference that the private sector can be the source of the payment for the value of the property.
I see. Well, I hope that you can resolve that. It's a major project. That
Yes,
I hope it's clear that
Yes,
you're
it's around
if you have not
59 hectares po
Yes.
yun eh.
and if you
So,
haven't negotiated yet your
We already sent the ano
terms.
po to DOTR the
You have an
term
offer,
sheet.
so that's included in their.
Yes, sir.
So
We already
you
sent.
okay?
Yes, sir.
Which is what, a straight purchase or?
Purchase but payables in yes, at may tawad po sila at least 10 to 15 years
I see. I see.
amortize. Para hindi rin mahirapan later on if the private sector will be the one to shoulder the cost of acquisition of the land.
I see. Okay. Moving on to the Clark Airport. I remember when I was DPWH secretary, ginagawa pa lang yung Clark Railway. And I understand that's not a BCDA project, but I was just curious kung ano na yung status ng Clark going to Manila, 'di ba? Yung what is it? The train?
The
train?
North-South Commuter Railway.
Yes, yes.
Nakakatuwa po na makita ngayon that the construction on site is in full swing. In fact, the girder along SCTEX na launch na kasi tatawid po siya sa SCTEX and then they will go under the runway, magiging subway siya doon. So what we're saying is that tuloy-tuloy na po yung construction ni DOTR under Secretary Bautista. We have provided the right of way inside Clark Freeport area, and I understand it's already more than 50% the Malolos to Tutuban. The Malolos to Clark International Airport is more than 30%. And we are also helping their contractors to have access not just in our area but also in the other LGU areas.
So what is the status of the Malolos to Tuban? Is it
Malolos to Tuban is more than 50%.
I see. So the target is when? 2025?
End of 2025 or early 2026.
Okay.
And I was told by the OTR that the project will extend up to Calamba, and they have awarded most of the contract packages already, except the O&M. And the good thing about this project also for BCDA is right now they are doing a detailed design to do extension of the Manila Clark Railway up to New Clark City. So to add another 19 kilometers, so they're doing the detailed design. And in our master plan, we have already provided the utility space, underground space, right-of-way space for that railway when should it come in New Clark City.
The Malolos to Tuban is what is it now? The construction? What is the status of the construction of the?
It's more than 50%, sir. It's between 50 to 60.
So also 2025,
Yes,
2026.
sir, end of 2025.
That it'll be operational.
Yes.
Because I think that once that's finished, I think it's 45 minutes from Clark to Tuban. Tama ba?
55, sir.
55.
Under 1 hour. So
Under
from
1
the Clark
hour.
Airport to Buendia or Naiya, it's under.
I think that's very critical
Yes,
for
sir.
the Clark to reach its potential.
Yes, sir. The connectivity.
Now, you mentioned there was an expansion for Clark, no? But as of now, there's existing operator for the Clark. Will they be the ones to fund the expansion, or is that government?
Under their contract, they are allowed to do some internal reorientation of the terminal to increase the capacity from 8 to 12. But beyond that, it's the government's ano na po yun, it's the government's role and whether to award it to them again or do a solicited process, that has not been decided yet. But in the concession agreement, what is clear, any expansion beyond the 12 million capacity that the terminal has will have to go to NEDA again for approval, the NEDA ICC.
I see. So,
So pwede pong hybrid ulit, kagaya po ng ginawa natin doon, that the government will have to spend first for the terminal, and then the operator will come in, reimburse us for the expense, and also give us revenue share for the operations.
at this point, how is the performance of the Clark Airport in terms of your projections?
We had more than 4 million passengers before the pandemic. It's 4 million 2019. Of course, 2020 and 2021 are low year period. In 2022, they have more than 800,000. And for 2023, they're targeting 2.7 million passengers. So the trajectory is to reach again 4 million passengers by next year, later next year, 2024.
I see. 2024.
Back pre-pandemic level po. Unlike in Metro Manila, ang bilis eh.
Yeah.
More than 100.
So I didn't catch that. What was 2023 again? Your levels? What was it?
End of 2023, it will be 2.7 million.
So hindi pa siya umaabot sa pre-pandemic.
Next year pa lang ho.
So
Mr. Chairman.
what is the capacity of Clark?
It's
No.
8 million.
So there's no rush to do there would be no rush to do the expansion now.
This year or
This
next year.
year,
wala
yeah.
pa. But we would need to plan already the planning
No,
and this
definitely
timing.
planning, I agree.
Yes, yes.
I'm just saying in terms of funding the full amount, baka it's not yet the
Yes.
time until you've reached the pre-pandemic
Yeah.
levels.
Yeah,
And-
but the clearing po is needed na.
Yes.
Clear the land.
So more on that, yung preparation works
Yes,
lang.
sir.
But yung actual, it might not be,
Yes.
baka hindi pa hinog
Yes.
na hinog.
Yes. Yes.
Especially if you're gonna, I would say 2026, hintayin nyo rin yung, dapat medyo isabay sa trend, di ba?
Yes,
Kung
yes.
2025, 26.
Yes, yes.
Maybe that's when
Agree.
2026 should be the target. Understanding, of course, it takes 2 to 3 years to build these structures also. So even if you do it today, you'd probably be finished. But it's good to anticipate. I think,
Yeah.
I think it's a good practice to anticipate the future. Although medyo pa lang, wala pa kayong 1/3 ng capacity, so it might be a little early. But yeah, and my final question, I visited the Armory recently, and I know there's a plan to create a defense. I'm interested in our defense capacity for our country, and I understand you're making one in Bataan, like defense. Parang there's an area dedicated for defense industries to help promote. Are you aware of that, or do you know the status of that? Malapit sa Armory. Yes, Secdel.
Mr. Chairman, when I was the Secretary of Defense, there was a plan actually. There were bills filed in Congress about transforming the government arsenal into defense industry
Yes.
hub, but nothing happened of it. But it is actually a 280-hectare property, and it has the potential to be developed into.
Yes, I understand, Sec. They're negotiating the lease. I hope we can be, so I hope we can expedite this. Sayang din eh, kasi maganda rin kung maka-establish ng mga defense industries doon. At least, kailangan natin yan, especially given geopolitical.
Mr. Chairman, meron nang nagdalawang kumpanya na hanggang Korea doon that are relocated there. One is making magazines for M16, and the other one is making protective vest for soldiers.
Yes.
They're there now. I don't know what happened to them, but actually the area is our property of
Yes.
the government.
I understand ang latest update sa akin, parang interesado sila, pero yung iba hindi sila makasundo sa rent. So hopefully maayos yan. But my point is, I hope you support this defense industry, this promotion of the defense industry. I think it's very relevant that to promote the defense industry. And if the BCDA has properties that can help promote, sana bigyan din ng pansin yung projects sa development ng defense center in the
Mr. Chairman,
Philippines. Yes.
there are also some companies, Korean companies that would like to put up defense facilities in Nuclear City, but I don't think we could mix them with some of the facilities there. Mukhang hindi tugma baka yung gagawin nila, they will be making ammunitions or whatever ng ano. Hindi
Baka maganda itong Limay sa
Limay
Limay.
is the
Yeah,
best.
sana ma-promote lang, Sec, kasi wala. Sa ngayon, sayang din yung area Puro,
It's just idle.
idle. Puro monkeys lang dun Pero sana, I just want to bring that to your attention and I hope that we can promote this, help the defense industries if we can create infrastructure.
We have
Mr. Chairman, in our property in Morong Bataan, while we have already donated 100 hectares for the Marines, we still have more than 250 hectares. So we can consider this kind of industries to support.
We should be able to make our own ammunitions, especially now. I think there's a certain, I'm sure Sec, familiar naman po kayo. We have security issues. Pag, di ba, kailangan din na magkaroon din tayo ng sariling defense industry to create basic war materials to protect our sovereignty also. So yun lang. I visited the armory and then they updated me on the status of the unfortunately wala pa masyadong locators, but I hope you can push for that. If they're locators, if they're local export-oriented businesses that want to locate there, sana bigyan din ng support para mapabilis yung pagtayo nila ng mga factories that can promote our defense industry, and I hope you can help with that also. Okay. Sec, thank you very much. I think I've exhausted my questions, and there's I don't think that there will be any more questions. We have none of the senators will be asking for the BCDA. So there being no more questions and there being no objections, the budget of the BCDA is hereby approved on the committee level and deemed submitted to the plenary. Congratulations. I would like to convey my gratitude to the officials of the BCDA and your respective staff for the well-prepared budget presentations. Again, congratulations. And let us have a short break to give time for the BCDA to fix their things and give way to our friends from the SITEM. So, congratulations. Your patience, everyone. We will now resume our budget hearing. Proceed with the discussion of the budget of the Center for International Trade Expositions and Missions, or CITEM. Comsec, please kindly acknowledge the presence of our friends from CITEM.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me acknowledge our resource persons for this afternoon. We have Deputy Executive Director Maria Lourdes Mediran. We also have the Department Manager, Ms. Marzo Evayo. We also have Ms. Rowena Mendoza, Ms. Wilma Dulay, Ms. Carol Altarejos. We have Ms. Roshan Villanueva, Mr. Jonathan Abaya, Ms. Marilyn Calo, and lastly, we have Ms. Malerna Buyaw. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Before we call on CITEM for their 10-minute presentation, allow me to express my support for the agency. Being the export promotion arm of the Department of Trade and Industry, the CITEM has played a crucial role in the reliability and quality of our export products and services in the global market through trade fairs, missions, and other export promotion programs. Upon review of the agency's requested budget, we see that it totals 181 million pesos, wherein 120 million is allocated for its operations, a 26% increase from the prior year's budget. We are all hoping for the increased participation of the country in global trade. I'm hoping to hear how CITEM will utilize this requested budget to effectively deliver Philippine export goods and services to the global scene. Let us now call CITEM for their presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, Senator Villar. So on behalf of our Executive Director, I will make the presentation for CITEM. So please. So CITEM's mandate, to begin with, is of course, as you mentioned, sir, is to market and promote the Philippines as a reliable source of quality products and services in the global market through professionally managed trade fairs and missions and other export promotion programs. So it's important that we showcase the best of the Philippines in the world in order for us to reach a bigger, greater market, no? The global market. Okay, so next. The CITEM is consists of 4 departments and 20 divisions based on the organizational structure approved by the DBM in 2005 or 2008. So it is a very lean organization. We have 145 plantilla positions, out of which maybe 100 is filled up today. So for our 2022 accomplishment, we would like to report to this August body that CITEM generated a total of $824 million in export sales as reported to us by the MSMEs that participated in our projects. So the reported export sales were generated from our overseas trade fairs participations in 2022. 2022 po ito. So both in hybrid form, so that's both physical and digital. We have entered the digital scene in 2020 when the COVID came in. So we made use of the digital space and the digital platform to continue the promotion of our MSMEs despite our absence on the physical floor given the COVID pandemic. So we have supported close to 2,000 MSMEs that joined our projects in 2022. And we generated trade inquiries from 4,000 local and international trade buyers. So we are now barely recovering, Your Honor, from the effects of the pandemic. No, slowly we are now going back to the physical floor, to the physical show, and we started with our food event in September 2022, our international food exhibition at the World Trade Center. So in 2022, we have from the signature events alone, so this is from the hybrid and the digital platform for Manila Fame and for IFEX and Create Philippines, we generated 107 million from the signature events, and that represents 13% of the total reported sales of 824 million. So I go to the overseas trade fair promotions in hybrid and physical and digital format and our business matching events. So in 2022, we had 7 overseas trade fair participations, not necessarily physically but digitally also. And also a business-to-business series of meetings in Middle East and Africa, time with the Gulf Food Show, and also with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And our the total, how do you say it, outcome of from the overseas trade fairs that we conducted was $717.5 million worth of sales from 8,259 inquiries and 1,700 buyers. So the overseas fairs constituted 87% of the total export sales. And also, we'd like to report on the digital community platform and websites. So we have existing now, sir. We have 5 storefronts or digital platforms. No, Fame Plus for Manila Fame, the gifts and houseware sector. We have IFEX Connect for the food sector. And Food Philippines, we have Create Philippines for the creative sector in support of the PISIDA law of the PISIDA of the Philippine Creative Industries Development Act. And we have sustainability platform to support our initiatives for sustainability. So for our 2022 financial performance, okay, so for 2022 we have received an allotment of 152 million, and out of that we are able to obligate 132 million. And out of the 132, we are able to disburse 130.8 million. So the absorptive capacity is around 88%, Your Honor. So for this year, for 2023, we are happy to report that we have generated already a total sales of 226.8 million. For 1,100 SMEs and the 2,000 or booked by 2,000 local and international buyers. We mounted again the physical show for the food sector, International Food Exhibition, last May at the World Trade Center. And we are happy to note that the exhibitors are happy to be back on the physical floor. While we have attained like only 80% of the total number of exhibitors compared to the 2019 pre-pandemic level, we see the positivity of the exhibitors on the trade floor during the IFEX show at the World Trade Center. And also from January to September this year, we did 5 overseas trade fairs. Ambiente in Frankfurt, Gulf Food in the Middle East to promote our halal products. Maison et Objet, digitally for our home fashion and lifestyle products, and the China ASEAN Expo recently in Nanning. So for this year, we had $63 million so far, January to September, sir.
Next slide.
Next slide. So we have already also accomplished a lot from our digital platform. So we have onboarded more than 500 exhibitors. We have received close to 300,000 website visitors, those who visited our website. And we have close to 900,000 website page views. So we are able to promote our products through the web. We maintain both the physical now and the digital po. So our budget is kinda divided. Next slide. For the financial performance so far, we have received 119 million, out of which we have incurred obligations of 114 million already and disbursements of 80 million. So we would like to be able to report to you, sir, that we will also be doing a special event meeting. We will be hosting a special meeting. It's called the ASEAN Trade Promotions Meeting. The Philippines will host this meeting of CEOs this coming October at the Fairmont Hotel. The Philippines will host this. ATPF is a group of 23 TPOs, similar to our counterpart in 23 countries. And we will be hosting this event after 32 years, sir. So we are hoping that sana you can find time for that. But this will be in October nga po, 18.
Magpapa-invite ako sana eh.
Po.
Magpapa-invite siya.
Sir, may invite ka na.
May invites po. We sent invites.
We sent invite to your office
Okay.
during the technical hearing. Kasi according even to Jethro, to the Secretariat, after 3 decades, we have a lot to tell and to show the world. So I think this is also an important activity. Naisingit naman ho namin ito sa budget this year. Maliit lang naman ho. So for our 2024 proposal, sir, budget proposal, so we will first report on our target, no? So for our outcome indicators, we are targeting a 20% increase from our 2023 target of 718 companies. We would like to see 47% of the companies in signature events returning to the show in next year. We would like to see a 20% increase in our export target in 2023. And for our output indicators, malito ang aming, kasi na-report ko na po sa inyo, 250 million na yung dollars ang aming export orders. But now our target for next year is only 80 million. Because we maintain the targets nga ho, kasi we are recovering, but happily nga we are able to generate actual. But when we submitted this to the DBM for under the NEP, we have not yet gathered the actual results for 2022. So this is a conservative target po. So we are targeting close to 900 SMEs to join our shows, to generate close to 7,000 inquiries, and 3,200 foreign buyers to visit the Philippine pavilion in our overseas fairs and in our signature events. So for our budget, sir, you mentioned earlier, we have the DBM has recommended the president's budget na po ito, ano, is 181 million for next year. We are given 164 million this year, so that's a 10% increase. Barely enough to cover the foreign exchange differential. Kasi when we made the proposal 50 pesos to $1, it's now 57.50 po. So,
When you say operation, that's the that's what you spend for your events,
Yes.
the fairs, that's operation.
opo.
The other is ano yung administrative. Okay.
Out of the 181, sir, 121 goes to operations to the projects. 24 to our institutional services to core plan, mga